Hello, this is Sooner Magic Breakdown. I'm Derek England. I'm your host. This is episode 2. So let's get right into it. Thank you for being here. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I appreciate you coming out to be with me here today. If you have any comments, please put them down below. Today's topic is the Oklahoma schedule. It's a breakdown, game by game, what the record's going to be. It's going to be pretty good. Just so you're aware, Oklahoma is going to have a great season. They're going to start out 3-0. Pretty easy, too. I think they're going to win those games by 40 to 60 points. Temple, Houston, Tulane. Not going to be much of a challenge, especially Temple. Houston, Tulane, both coming in with new head coaches. One of those head coaches was the previous one's head coach, Tulane to Houston. That's a big deal. They'll have the right players potentially for your system. Is he a good head coach? Are they good head coaches? Sure. I don't think they make much of an effort in these games considering what they're bringing in. Houston does have their returning QB from what I saw. Tulane lost theirs with Pratt, so not much of a thing there. Then we get to Tennessee coming to Oklahoma. A battle of the 5 stars. Jackson Arnold versus Nico, however you say his last name. That's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a tough game. I do think Oklahoma wins this game. Oklahoma has only lost 3 games in the last 5 seasons at home. I think that continues. I think Oklahoma is too deep, too good. Tennessee, I'm not yet a believer. They've recently have done some stuff, but at the same time, they are replacing a decent amount on their defense. I know they're replacing their best running back, so we'll see how that works out for them. I do think it's going to be a one-possession game for sure. I like Oklahoma here because they're at home, and I just believe in Oklahoma more than I do Tennessee. Auburn. Oklahoma goes to Auburn. Now, I keep hearing a lot of stuff about playing at Auburn and the curse that's there. Teams just have a bunch of inability to win there. Well, in the last 5 years, they've lost 12 times at home. Last 5 years, 12 times at home. Is that going to continue? I think so. I think Oklahoma's got the better roster. I think they have the better defense. Honestly, I think Oklahoma's going to have a top 3 defense in the SEC and a top 10 defense nationally. And the reason I say that, let me just get this out of the way, is that Oklahoma has a lot of returning people from an already pretty good unit. This is year 3 in Brent Venables' system. He has the defensive coordinator that can mimic and pretty much be Brent Venables. 2.0 is what you keep hearing out there. So I feel very, 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 very confident in Zach Alley's ability to call what Brent Venables wants in his defense. And if that's the case, and they got 3 years into the system, and they have all these seniors who came back to play, who have been teaching, who are ready to play. They wanted to come into the SEC and lead Oklahoma. That's a big deal. Not a lot of people do that. Oklahoma was actually second, would have been second in the SEC last year in completion percentage allowed by opposing quarterbacks. They're 56.8%. Georgia was number 1 in the SEC, 8th in the nation. Oklahoma was 22nd in the nation. Right? And the next closest was Auburn at 45th in the nation, 59%. So there's that, right? And then there's also the fact that Oklahoma was actually 4th in the nation in turnovers, number 2 in interceptions last year. So they would have been 1st in the SEC. You know who would have been 2nd in the SEC in turnovers? Texas. They were 22nd. And Missouri was 48th. So Oklahoma's defense appears as a ball hawking type to be the best in the SEC already. Will they continue that? We'll see. Right? But one of the things I keep hearing about is Oklahoma and defense. Well, Oklahoma's got a defense, right? And I keep seeing things that the defense line might be the weaker link out of some, but maybe it isn't, because they keep saying sacks, but they pressured a lot. They got QB hurries. They got the QB to throw out of timing, cause interceptions, pass deflections, cause them to just not complete. Oklahoma was one of the best in the nation last year at that. So, and they actually had they were ranked over 100th in plays allowed. So they actually had a lot of plays played on them. So I feel confident in where Oklahoma is going to be next year or this season. So then we get back to the game here. All right. So I think Oklahoma wins the Auburn game. I think they're just better. So that's 5-0. Bye week. Texas has bye week. So we're both going into it with bye weeks. I think it returns just like as it was last season and how it's been traditionally in the last 20 plus years. Oklahoma wins this game and deflates Texas. Texas is most likely undefeated. They probably beat Michigan. I'm not that confident in Michigan winning that game. I think Texas wins that game. So I think we're undefeated back-to-back years. And I think Oklahoma manhandles Texas once again because I think they have the better defense. I think they'll stymie Ewers. And I think Oklahoma will be able to pass on Texas fairly well. And I just like what Oklahoma can do over Texas. So I think Oklahoma wins that game at 6-0. We get to South Carolina. I don't see that being too much of an issue for Oklahoma. I think they win that one by 3 scores. It's at home once again. They have a new quarterback coming in for them. He might be good, but I don't think he's going to be ready. I don't think they're going to be ready. And that seat gets hotter for him down there in South Carolina for the Beamer. Then we get to the next week, Ole Miss. I think that's going to be the hardest game for Oklahoma, playing it at Ole Miss. They do lose their best running back and receiver, but they do have a great head coach and offensive play caller in Lane Kiffin. So I like his ability. I think they've done a good amount of stuff. If they're going to lose a game, Oklahoma is against Ole Miss at Ole Miss. Would not be shocked at all. But at the same time, Oklahoma still has the better roster. They have the better defense. The defense that can line up with Ole Miss's offense. And I think Oklahoma will be able to do enough on offense to score. But I think Oklahoma's defense will be able to stop Ole Miss enough to make it where Oklahoma can win this game on the road. So Oklahoma wins that game. Then we have Maine, aka another bye week, the SEC bye week later in the season. They win that game. Then we go to Missouri. I think Missouri's going to be good. They're going to be artificially put up there because they got a weak schedule. I think they might think they're better than they are. And I think they get beat at home because that's what happens when Oklahoma plays Missouri. Oklahoma beats Missouri. That's just what happens. No matter how good Missouri gets, Oklahoma, on most occasions, will always beat Missouri. So I don't envision them being good enough to beat Oklahoma. They just lost their defensive staff, which is a big deal. So they have a new staff in there. Will be the right players for that guy's system? Will his system really fit? We don't know. So Oklahoma wins that game. So now they're 10-0. We got a bye week. A wonderful bye week. And then Bama comes to Oklahoma, to Norman. I think Bama will be good. But if anything can happen, Oklahoma knows. With a new coaching staff. A whole turnover like what just happened at Oklahoma. What did that do for Oklahoma? Not a great season, right? Will Bama be able to overcome that? I don't know. Do they have the type of talent there to be able to do it? Yeah. But at the same time, Galen has a new head offensive coordinator that he's not quite used to. He's had the same offensive coordinator a couple places he's been. So that's a new variable for him to have that trust. And do the players match that system? You don't know. Possibly. Quite possibly could happen. But it's in Norman. And I think Oklahoma is way up for the task of playing Bama at home. Last thing they want to do is lose to Bama at home. They want to show that they are the superior Crimson. So I think Oklahoma wins this game. I don't think at this point in the season Bama is what they think they are. And I think Oklahoma has proven what they are. Bama loses, Oklahoma wins 11-0. Oklahoma also, with this, has put themselves in the SEC championship game already, going into Death Valley to play LSU. LSU has a new quarterback. We'll see. They also lost their best receiver. Their defense wasn't spectacular last year. They have a new defensive coaching staff. Does that mesh well? We don't know. Now, a lot of people could say, well, Oklahoma also has a new one. Well, the difference between Oklahoma and their defense coordinator is there's already history with the coaching staff. Red Venables and Zach Alley already know each other. And Zach Alley, for all intents and purposes, from what he says, is Venables 2.0. So if Brent brought him in there to basically be Brent, I feel confident. I feel confident that he's going to know exactly how to do the Brent Venables system in year 3 of the system, where the players themselves have been coaching the other players and know the system and the schemes. So I feel very confident that Oklahoma's defense is going to be so strong that no matter what the offense is having to deal with, that they're in every game. They're not getting blown out. And they're into a point to where the offense just has to do enough to win games. If they're struggling, which I don't think they're going to struggle. I think they're going to be pretty good. Last year they were 4th in the nation, 3rd or 4th, depending on what you want to look at in efficiency and points scored. I see that continuing. I think Sawchuk is one of the best running backs in the nation. I think we have one of the best wide receiver rooms in the nation. Yeah. I think Oklahoma is set very well. And then the offensive line, even though they might be new, they do have a massive amount of starts. They actually have more starts history than a lot of other teams. Sure, they have to mesh, but Bill Bedenbaugh is known for being one of the best offensive line coordinators in the country. So OU fans have faith in him. I believe he's going to do a great job. So I think in Death Valley, I don't think LSU has enough defensively to stop Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma has enough defensively to stop LSU. That's how I'm looking at these games. Like, I'm not just looking at, they're playing at Auburn or at Ole Miss. I'm actually trying to compare who they're playing against and who the opponent is playing, right? They have to play Oklahoma too. How are they actually going to stack up against Oklahoma's defense? Do you think they're just going to be able to pass the ball and run like crazy? Like, why? Why would you think that just because their previous history that they're set up to do that with this particular squad? You can say the same thing vice versa for Oklahoma against them. Difference is Oklahoma actually has some of the leading production returning, right? And they have the 8th best roster, or 5th in the SEC, only behind Georgia, Bama, LSU, and Texas. They're the 4th best blue chip ratio team in the SEC behind Georgia, Bama, and Texas A&M. So they're constructed to be able to win. I don't get the whole thing middle of the pack, getting voted to be 8th, or that's just ignorance. Oklahoma, they might not win it all. They might not get to 12-0 because that's really, really difficult. You have to have everything going for you to be able to do that. Can they be 11-1, 10-2? I think 10-2 is their floor. I think 12-0 is their ceiling. SEC championship game, ideally, that's perfect. I think they could easily do it. I don't look at the schedule and I see it as daunting as all the other people. I also think the SEC has been overinflated for so many years that they just all believe the bias there. They try to make the other teams sound like trash, when in reality the other teams are still good. All these players have to be on teams, right? So change the league, change the team, it doesn't really matter. They still had to play the games, right? Games still had to get played. So if it's in one league or another, whoop-de-doo. Some of these teams have played other SEC teams already, or on the squads, right? So it's not that big of a deal. Plus, those teams, they have to play Oklahoma as well. And at the same time, this whole gauntlet, the previous version of the SEC with the two sides really made it where you could skip out on having to play the hardest opponents year in, year out. You could skip several years. Well, that's shifted now. Now you have Bama playing Georgia, LSU, and Oklahoma. When has that ever happened, that quality? In Georgia, having to play Bama and Georgia, or Georgia's playing Bama and Texas this year. So that's something new for them, right? They haven't had to deal with that. So how does that equate? Do we think Georgia can just walk through their easy schedule like they used to? Probably not. Heck, even some of their toughest teams that they played gave them a little bit of stuff. Now they have to actually go through the grind. Right? That's the whole thing, the grind. Well, now it's a two-way street. Y'all can say all you want that Oklahoma was in the Big 12, and Texas wants to say that they're everybody's Super Bowl. That's not true. Oklahoma was everybody's Super Bowl. Oklahoma used to get the best from every single team they would play, because Oklahoma would win the vast majority of all those games. And every so often they'd get caught. Right? It happens, right? But the fact that they're going to the SEC, Oklahoma has been preparing. They're ready for it. They want it. They want to prove that they deserve to be there, that they are a blue blood. This isn't just some small little program. This is Oklahoma. There's only one, right? So, recapping, Oklahoma 12-0 SEC championship game. Probably playing the winner of the Texas Georgia game. That'd be my assumption. Making the college football playoff. Yeah, floor 10-2. Oklahoma has one of the best rosters in the country, also in the SEC, and they're only going to get better with recruiting, with where they're wanting to go. I think Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, maybe Texas can get there. We'll see if they're actually back or not. And I think LSU, those are the top 5 teams I see in the SEC. Maybe Ole Miss. Let's say 6. Then there's everybody else. Tennessee's trying to get there. Can they get there? Absolutely, they can. I've been a believer in Tennessee for quite some time. I've thought they were just on the cusp of being great, and I think they are right there. So we'll see. Maybe they reach there this year, but we'll see. So if you like this content, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, please. Let me know what you think Oklahoma's season is going to be. Be realistic. Actually look at it. What do you actually think is going to happen? Game by game, not just throwing numbers out there. Do you think the teams are going to play are really actually that good, right? Auburn, they've lost 12 games at home in the last 5 years. Ole Miss 5, Missouri 9, LSU 5. Those are as where Oklahoma has to play. So if you look at their schedules, who's going to be that one loss that they've been averaging? I think it's going to be Oklahoma. That's where they're going to lose. And Oklahoma's only lost 3 at home, so they're losing less than one a year. So who's going to beat Oklahoma at home? It's going to be Bama. It's going to be Maine, South Carolina, Tennessee. You know, it's all going to be Temple, Houston, or Tulane of Maine. So who's going to be that potential one? Out of those ones, if it was going to be anybody, it'd be Bama. But I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. So, yeah, this is a Sooner Magic Breakdown. Look forward to giving you more content. Let's go from there. Have a great day. Bye.